Hi, kindergarten, first and second grade leaders. We are starting a brand new series all the way back at the very beginning, starting in creation in the book of Genesis. Then we are preparing for September 2nd, and I'm excited to have some of you guys leading large group this week. Thank you, Brandon Palmer and Andrew Perez, for stepping up to do that. All right, so this week we get to introduce that God created the world. And, one of the things we've talked about in our huddles recently, but if you weren't there to be a part of our huddle, I want to make sure that everybody hears it. We have a large group of kids, very large group of kids, who know very little about the Bible, know very little about church, know very little about what God created, or that we should trust God, or any of those things that some of us who have been in church for a very long time take for granted. And so keep that in mind in the next, this series, and then as we keep going, maybe you'll even learn something new through their eyes, that we may be teaching some of these things to these kids for the very, very, very first time. So your excitement about sharing it with them and helping them make those connections of how God and Jesus were in the very beginning, and make sure we make that really clear, that God and Jesus were both there in the beginning, because those will be the foundation things that help them build when they understand who Jesus is better, knowing that he is God. All right, so we will get started. This series, you have some would you rather questions in a little box like this. Your kids love to do these would you rather questions, and there are so many in there that I'd be really surprised if you make it through all of them. But have fun with it. Encourage kids to answer, like have everybody in your whole group answer those questions before you move on to another question. It's not just about getting through a bunch of cards. It's about listening to each other and helping our littlest, youngest ones, our kindergarten and first graders, realize that part of what we do in small group is we take turns and we listen to each other so that everybody can hear what fun ideas are out there. I know it's challenging for that age because they want to be heard. Make sure you hear and you acknowledge everybody, but especially with our youngest ones, we're helping set that foundation for them to know how to continue to build relationships through small groups. We'll move into large group and share the lesson on video and worship music. I believe we have a new Operation Christmas Child video this month too. We're gonna start our coin collection. I'll get those out. So help kids start collecting pennies, or encourage them to collect their pennies so that we can fill up that jug. And I have set a really big goal for us. We'll see what happens. It's a God goal for sure. Last year we exceeded our expectations by a lot. I think we had $800 raised just through our penny funds. So I think we could hit 1,000 this year. We've all had a year to start collecting our pennies, and I know I've got jars full ready to get us started. So that's where we are. Then we'll move to small groups. And in your small group time, you're gonna have a bag full of circles and some brass brads. Your circles, the kids will need to draw on them first before you put them together. It'll be much easier for them if you do that first. And so what you're going to do is pass out this one and help them review the things that they know God created and on what day. So I'm going to help you review, and I'll make sure that you have something in your leader guide as well, so that we all are on the same page and saying the same things. That on day one, God created the light and created the day and the night. So maybe a yellow section and maybe a black section for dark. Then on day two, God created the sky and the land and the seas. So like clouds, and then hills, or whatever they think of when they think of land, and then water for the seas. Then on day 3, they're going to draw plants and trees. God created the plants and the trees on day 3 and said it was good. On day 4, God created the heavenly bodies. So that was the sun and the moon and the stars. And so that will be fun for the kids to draw. And then on day 5, God created the creatures of the sea and the creatures of the air. So any birds or any fish or things that live in the ocean could be on day 5. On day 6, God created the land animals, the things that roam around on the land, wild animals, domesticated animals, all of them. Then he created man out of dust and woman out of the rib of the man. And on day 7, God rested and said it was good. So after the kids have put all of those things on their wheel, they're going to take the Pac-Man looking wheel and put it on the top like so. And then you have holes already punched. You're going to stick your brad right there in the hole, close it on the back, and you may have to help your little hands figure out how to do this for them. Close it on the back like this, and then they should be able to spin that and help review all of the things that God created and on what day it was created. And for the top of it, they can write really anything that you want them to write, but here are some suggestions. They could write God created the world. They could write Genesis 1. They could write God created everything, and everything he created was good. Or they could write, who is God? God is our creator and king. So really up to you. All of those words are on your leader guide. Make sure the kids take these home and share that with their family, what they're learning from Genesis 1. Then your memory verse activity, you're going to have a piece of paper where the words are all backwards. Now, when I put it in the screen, it all looks like it's the correct way, but that's because it has the camera. But the words on the paper are actually backwards. I don't know if you can see it through the paper there. That's probably more of like what it'll look like. Anyway, and the kids are supposed to take turns, trying to find my mirror, putting the mirror here in front of the paper and reading the words in the mirror. So God, all things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. Colossians 1:16 through 17. That is our memory verse for the month. They'll get the chance, everybody will get the chance to use the mirrors and to try to read the words. You may want to make it a game and see if they can read it without the mirror. With your littlest ones who don't read real well, just let them look at it and try to figure out how that mirror works, and how when they shine it on other things that it doesn't necessarily show the reversed image. All right, and then you will pray and dismiss, and if you next week while I'm there, I will make sure that we pass out all of the family packets so that families can start practicing all of these things together. Thank you guys so much for leading. I look forward to seeing you all again soon, and I know that last week we had a full house. Expect that through the fall we will continue to have a full house and get to share the love of Jesus with a whole bunch of kids and their families. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.